I never imagined a thin envelope in my mailbox could shake an entire neighborhood. It arrived on an ordinary Tuesday morning, tucked between a grocery flyer and a birthday card from my sister. The return address carried the familiar name of our Homeowners Association, the HOA that had governed our quiet subdivision for decades. I was 72 at the time, retired, living on a fixed income, and I had learned long ago that peace of mind was worth more than shiny rules. But that envelope carried a different weight, the kind that settles in your chest before you even open it. Inside was a notice about a lawsuit, not against me personally, but against the HOA itself. A contractor claimed breach of contract. A former board member alleged misuse of funds. The legal language ran on for pages, but one sentence stood out, clear as a bell on a Sunday morning. Any financial judgment may be assessed to homeowners through special assessments. That was the moment everything changed. At first, most of us brushed it off. We had lived through storms, recessions, and rising medical bills. Surely this was just paperwork, a disagreement that lawyers would settle quietly. At the next monthly meeting, folding chairs filled the community hall, and the coffee urn steamed in the corner. Neighbors I'd known for 30 years whispered to one another, their voices tight. The HOA president, a man 10 years younger than me, stood at the podium and assured us it was under control. No cause for alarm, he said, tapping the microphone. But alarm has a way of growing when money is involved. Weeks turned into months. Legal bills climbed. The association's reserves, meant for roof repairs and road resurfacing, began to drain. A second letter arrived, then a third, each one heavier than the last. The words special assessment appeared again, this time with numbers attached. For some homeowners, it meant a few $100s. For others, especially those of us on fixed incomes, it meant choosing between savings and security. The conflict truly came into focus when the lawsuit went to court. We packed into the back of the courtroom, gray hair and crossed arms filling the benches. I watched our HOA's attorney argue, while the opposing lawyer laid out accusations of negligence and mismanagement. Every word felt personal, even though none of us had signed the contracts in question. When the judge finally ruled, the gavel sounded like a door slamming shut. The HOA lost. The judgment was substantial. The association was ordered to pay damages, legal fees, and penalties. There was no insurance coverage for this kind of loss. That meant one thing: the homeowners would pay. The assessment notice arrived on a Friday afternoon. I remember the date because I sat at my kitchen table staring at it while the evening news played softly in the background. The amount was more than I had paid in annual dues for the last 5 years combined. My hand shook. I wasn't alone. Phone calls buzzed across the neighborhood. One neighbor cried, another talked about selling. A third, a widower in his late 70s, asked me quietly if this meant he would lose his home. That fear united us. Anger followed close behind. At an emergency meeting, voices rose. Accusations flew. Why hadn't we been warned sooner? Why hadn't the board settled earlier? Why were retirees paying for mistakes they didn't make? The room felt smaller, hotter. Friendships strained under the weight of blame. It was the kind of conflict that can tear a community apart if left unchecked. Then something unexpected happened. A group of homeowners, myself included, decided to act, not with shouting, but with questions. We requested financial records. We consulted an independent attorney. We learned, slowly and carefully, how HOA law really works and how decisions made by a few can financially impact the many. Knowledge became our comeback. We discovered options, payment plans, negotiations with the plaintiff, a partial settlement funded by selling unused HOA property. It didn't erase the judgment, but it softened the blow. The board agreed to step down, and new volunteers, many of them retired professionals, stepped up. Transparency replaced silence. Meetings were recorded. Budgets were explained line by line. For the first time, we felt like participants instead of passengers. The financial impact was still real. I won't pretend otherwise. Some homeowners tightened their belts. Vacations were postponed. Home improvements delayed. But the fear eased. We knew what we owed, why we owed it, and how long it would take to recover. There is comfort in clarity, especially later in life. As the months passed, the neighborhood found its footing again. Lawns were trimmed, children visited grandparents, morning walks resumed. The lawsuit had cost us money, yes, but it also taught us something invaluable. An HOA is only as responsible as the people who pay into it. Blind trust can be expensive. Involvement, even when inconvenient, is an investment. Looking back now, I see that thin envelope as a warning and a lesson. Lawsuits don't just affect corporations or boards. They reach kitchen tables and retirement plans. For homeowners, especially those of us in our later years, understanding the financial risks tied to an HOA is as important as understanding property taxes or insurance. If this story resonates with you, if you've lived through something similar or worry that you might someday, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe so more homeowners can learn from these experiences. And I'd truly love to know, where are you watching from today? Share your town or state in the comments. Our stories matter, and when we share them, we help protect one another.